ask any questions, now is the time to do that. Yes?
So I'm Balchuva for 5 or 6 years, now sister now, and one thing that was incredibly distracting for me was all the food that there were, and especially being in America, there's 2 days of hunting. So is there before you know it, you're finished with one meal and it's time to have another meal, and it's a mitzvah to have the meal, and it's something that has been very difficult. And I'm wondering if you can suggest a way to look at this, how to approach these sudas, and in a way where it's spiritually elevating and elevating the physical, but in a way that, and it's like testing the Sahara and eat all the time. And it's like, so is there a way that you can suggest to approach these meals in a very health-conscious way, where you can really kind of work with those tendencies to maybe overeat or...
A few days ago, I mentioned to somebody the Goodbye Columbus culture, and he said, "That shows how old you are."
Oh, I was in that movie.
The Goodbye Columbus extravagance maybe has its seeds in the people who came out of the poverty of the Shtetl, and they knew hunger, and they knew all that hunger causes, and when they got to more prosperous times, they were constantly pushing food into the children's mouths until we have a society today where the #1 health problem is obesity. I mean, as a visitor to this wonderful, beautiful country from Britain and Israel, I can tell you that by and large, the portions that are on the table are considerably bigger in America than they are elsewhere. But the problem of the Sudot of 2 days of Pesach, at the beginning of Pesach, and then 2 days at the end, 2 days of Sukkot at the beginning, this is something which I knew in London also. And it seems to me that the extravagance of certain people in our communities and the amount that is put on the table, which creates all kinds of psychological testing, and you can be rude to people, you got to eat it and so on. It's a mitzvah to eat, it's not a mitzvah to overeat. Like one time the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Sultan on Sukkot, had been taken to hospital for some heart problem in the middle of Sukkot, and the doctor said to him, "I see that you have not eaten for, I think it was something like 24 hours or longer. I thought it was forbidden to fast on the festival." He says, "It's not that I fasted, I just didn't eat." And there's a number of factors here. #1 would be to promote and propagate the idea that the food of Yom Tov and Shabbat is holy. And this does not have to be I was about to say pita. It doesn't have to be that. It's not supposed to be that. It's supposed to be the savoring and sampling of many kinds of foods and the edification of the act of eating these foods with songs and with Divrei Torah and with getting the whole feel of the festival. So it would be good to propagate this idea. And if you are not able to actually change the rest of the world, at the very least, you consider the food, sit at the table with everybody and practice the yogic art of chewing and chewing and chewing your food. And when you chew and chew in the proper way, you do not overeat. The problem that many people have is they don't chew the food, and when they're swallowing quantities of food that are not properly chewed, where the digestion has not begun through the saliva in the mouth, the effect on the digestive system is called all kinds of discomfort, but the person tries to cover over by eating more food. So it's like a vicious cycle. And so throughout our Musar literature, there's known that there's the run-of-the-mill Hamon Am, and there is the Baal Nefesh. And the Baal Nefesh is one who is cultivating his or her soul. So you eat the Baal Nefesh at the holy Yom Tov table and savor the foods and enjoy the foods, and when you chew and chew out you have 32 teeth corresponding to 32 pathways of wisdom, so that the food spreads through the mouth and feel the Elokut, feel the godliness. That way, you and your friends and those who are subject to your influence will keep healthy and enjoy the Yom Tov. Right? Who can stand, you've just come home from shul and they give you this huge meal with chicken and meat and chulent and kugel, and after that you're just dead on the bed for the rest of Shabbos. We've got to get out of it. Yes.
Thank you for your excellent presentation, and it reminds of the other health traditions in Asia, ancient China, where a physician was paid, but if a patient got sick, he got less money. So, but where was I going? There's the expression of emotional eating, and it would behoove people to understand of the importance of relationships and how to relate to your fellow human beings, whether they're close family circles, friends, etc. That when that is so important, and people will and not to deal with some of the anxiety surrounding that or issues, will instead distract themselves by eating and comfort themselves by eating, etc., etc. So the totality of health includes how we relate to other people.
Yes.
I'm glad you added that, because sometimes people do eat out of anxiety, unfortunately. And the other thing that's psychological sometimes, if you go to certain families, and there's a lot of people there, they sometimes push food at you, whether it's subtle or whether it's very direct, and that you have to be aware of. Maybe not so criticize the hostess or the host, but realize that what they say to you, you don't have to do necessarily. And the other thing that I read recently, that I like the idea of 20 minutes to exercise several times a week, but I also read for those who are overweight like myself, that you have to actually put, for weight management, you have to spend an hour on the average a day for weight management. And the other thing I wanted to say is that I really enjoyed what you talked about. What?
An hour a day doing what?
Oh, what kind of exercise? Exercise. Walking, for instance. What else? Dancing is probably 15 pounds. I don't know what else to say right now, but I also want to say that I now, I have been trying to. Years ago, I was in the macrobiotic diet, and I also I read with a friend some Rambom, and it said that he doesn't like mushrooms and he doesn't like vinegar. And mushrooms, I realized, are not in the macrobiotic diet. And vinegar in ketchup is bad for you and in other places. So I just generally have pickles in brine, not in vinegar. And I just want to appreciate you for this whole lecture tonight. It's really wonderful.
Yes.
You mentioned in the beginning of your lecture that the book that you cherish and you don't take it outside of your house. Google. What's the name? What do you Google?
If you Google the healthcare regimen, you could also Google Dr. Fred Rossner, R-O-S-S-N-E-R. Yes.
It's true that it depends on the blood test. You can take whatever your body needs and then don't weight.
So can you say that again? If it depends on
your blood size. And you can take whatever you want according to your blood test, and then you don't get weight.
I really do not want to enter into specific teachings that are on the healthcare market today. I don't want to enter into this because I'm, first of all, not an expert in them. And secondly, what I'm trying to advocate, first and foremost, is a more simple diet. And if the whole blood type theory points to eating specific kinds of foods, it seems to me, better to take those foods where available from their more natural sources than to take them from their more